Thinking she was in a dream, Fawn shook her head and squeezed her torso. With absurdly long arms, the coated being lifted Fawn off the ground. A frosty mist was spewed from where its mouth should have been within the darkness of the hood. This close, Fawn could see the large blue eyes, like topaz, unblinking, but all-seeing. It began to speak with a husky voice that at first Fawn thought she could not understand. "I come to offer an even trade," it said. The being had replaced its gun and now held Fawn before it, supporting her underneath her arms, as one would hold a child. Even with her considerable height, she was still several feet off the ground. But the floor seemed to be moving now, rising to meet her feet, and not evenly. Things that could be called hands at a stretch were reaching upward, snatching at her. The golden machinery was being obscured by a darkness heavy with gnashing and chaos. Fawn glanced back to the thing in the coat. "What the fuck do you want from me?" Fawn said. "We will be the bonds that would tie each other to our respective desires," it said. "I still don't understand," Fawn said. "An equal exchange," it said. "We each discard our separate lives without agency, for a single life giving us our greatest wish." "And how the hell could you know my greatest wish?" Fawn said. And for once its eyes of topaz sneered. "Because you have always told me what you desired. Those long nights when sleep was slow to come. We would speak the ways in which no one else could," it said. "About sports, school, boys, but most of all, death. I was there when you wished to die, and I shed grateful tears that you did not, that you could not. I grieved for your family, because you had run out of tears. But it is only I that speaks your language, no other," it said. "But there will be others that come to twist your power, as those from your world will try and twist mine." And he was right. Even now Fawn could hear them grumble, jealous of having not been the first chosen so many years ago. Yet they waited, so that perhaps if she lingered or rejected the words of the one who held her now, they would get a chance at her, use her. They had never kept Fawn company on those frigid deck watches in the tundra. They had never listened to her cry for days after the news of her family's passing had found her. But it had. He had. Yes, she was sure it was a he now. A brother to replace the one she had lost, and the one she had hoped was still alive. Fawn shook her head, as if to ward off the others. "What do I have to do?" she said. His voice was clearer now. "Our worlds are close now," he said. "Closer than they'll ever be. Name me, so that I may name you." The mass of chaotic darkness was growing. The hordes of individuals were beginning to ally themselves, that they could dethrone this single usurper. Fawn was unsure what to call this coated man, which had been much more to her, it seemed. She had called him nothing, even as a child, even though she knew he was there, and had always been there. When she had fought, he was there, a reassuring hand, a rousing cheer. When she had rested, he was a warm thigh to rest her head against. His own heart, much bigger than her own, beat just after his. I don't know what to call you," Fawn said, looking back at the rolling clouds pushing their way toward the two. "Say it. Say the name which you deem fit to give me, and I shall be yours forever," he said. Fawn said, glancing down at the being gazing up at her. "Long arms," Fawn said finally. And the hordes withdrew instantly, leaving them with only the loud hum of large engines and machinery. "And you, Wolf Maiden, will be Vulpicide the Fox-Eater," Long Arm said, as he embraced her tightly. Even though his breath seemed cold, Fawn could feel nothing but warmth from his body. Then she hugged him back, knowing that forces would come to rip him away from her too, but this time she would not allow it to happen.